Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Led by Life. We're your hosts. I'm Rafaela, and this is Hannah. And we're just going to jump right into it because Hannah has some beautiful things to share. Go for it.
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to come out, but the we were just reading the human design chapter because we're up to the 41st. And I was just reading um, each new experience that you enter into through your strategy and authority holds a promise that a new feeling awaits your discovery. And the gene key, as I was reading it, is so much about manifestation because
Hmm.
it's about, in the shadow frequency, we're staying in this fantasy where we're dreaming about what the future might hold, but we're not ever really taking action on those dreams or like making progress towards manifesting those dreams. And he says something um, caught me off guard. I didn't realize we were going to jump straight in. Oh, here it
It
is.
said
It's
boom.
it's the difference between genius and non-genius. Genius manifests whilst non-genius dreams. And I just think that's so interesting because it's talking about like it's almost this desire to experience new things.
Mhm.
And a lot of manifestation work talks about like it's not so much the thing we want, but the feeling we
Yeah.
hope that thing will bring us. And so that just kind of clicked into my mind as I was reading that.
Yeah. Well, he talks about in earlier in the chapter about how this gene key is also attributed to like humanity's pressure to um if not only evolve but to like reach like happiness, right? And so they're on what he refers to as the wheel of samsara, where we're just like constantly perpetuating our own suffering because there's this like conditioned mind that thinks that it's we're just supposed to be happy all the time, and it's supposed
Mm.
to be wonderful and great. That comes with this like drive and this pressure to evolve, thinking that within the evolution we're gonna, you know, be enlightened, happy, desired, fulfilled, all those things. And you bringing that up just reminded me about how it's this this pressure just sort of builds within us.
Yeah, it's this notion of arrival fallacy, like thinking that the future will hold some place that, hold all our happiness and, all our dreams will be fulfilled. And it's the inability of the mind to be present.
Hmm.
And I know we talked about this so much personally. I don't know if we've talked about it much on the podcast, but like in our own personal conversations about how, we often think that like, or we're unable to allow ourselves to enjoy what's here, to enjoy what this moment holds. And I'm almost feeling like the that's where the action to actually fulfill on the dreams can happen is only through the present, right? So the mind is like the past or in the future, but the present's the only place where we can ever take action. So it's like if we want these dreams to manifest, we need to like first of all enjoy what we've already manifested in the present and appreciate where we are, but also like take that right action to manifest those future dreams right here and now.
Hmm. And you have this one defined, right?
Yeah, I have it. I hadn't actually looked where it was, but it's in my North Node on the personality side in the fourth line. So I haven't looked up
Are
yet
you
what that
sure?
means.
Because I looked it up earlier and I could have sworn that I thought maybe I looked at the wrong one. I thought it was in Jupiter in your sixth line.
No, that's the 31st. I have the
Oh,
30th
okay.
as
Because
well.
the 31st is the programming partner. So I was looking at both of them, and then recognized that because of the connection between anticipation and leadership. And then, of course, as always, like it just kind of funnels all down on how, like, I've been using this word quite a bit today, but sort of how like Hannah's avatar comes into play. The more like I see it layered, and we always talk about this, like when we move on to one, it's sort of like a puzzle starts to come together and you see the whole. And it's so
Mm,
interesting that I'm mentioning this because as I was getting to like the city, he talks about essentially like it relates it to like a black hole, right? That it engulfs within itself and like within the city of the 41st, you can never really like know it or understand it or be it or like comprehend it or communicate it. It's like a
mm,
black hole. It's just infinite into nothingness. And
mm,
I was reading it and I was thinking, what is in one is in the whole, because this is also the start codon, to get a little scientific. It's like he refers to it as the key that unlocks the dreams or whatever, kind of thinking about what you were saying with like putting it into action. Like not many of
mm.
us can tap into that start codon where we're turning the key to then take a step through the door to do the next thing, right? But when I read the whole black hole part, remember I was telling you that I had watched Interstellar?
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't watched Interstellar, you need to go watch Interstellar, but it was just incredible. And I just was imagining like the one part where they're like warping through into like another galaxy or whatever it is, where there's just like an infinite bound of like nothingness. But like
Mm.
we can't comprehend that, right?
Nothingness and almost like everythingness as
Yeah.
well. Like, and that's kind of what emanation feels like to me. It's just like emanating, like everything.
Mm.
And um and I think that that's also like, so the anticipation is the expectancy and almost the like law of assumption, like it's going to happen. I'm just anticipating, I'm excited about it, instead of like hoping that the future might, my dreams might manifest in the future. The gift, this is what I'm feeling into, like the difference between the shadow, the gift, and the Siddhi is like that in the shadow state, you're almost, it's like wishful thinking. It's
Mhm.
like dreaming and wishful thinking that perhaps these dreams might manifest. The gift is like, oh yeah, it's happening. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but I'm trusting. I'm just anticipating. I know this is going to happen. And then the Siddhi is almost like it's already happened. It's already done. You already are it. You already are everything that you're seeking. Um, so yeah, that's, I don't know, that's my kind of feeling.
Mm. Feel
What
like
do
it
you
rushed
think?
in pretty fast. You like we went right in. Um,
Right. Yeah.
the other part I was wondering is as you were reading for us the human design like explanation of it, I was imagining, right, because it's also explaining it in the sense of circuitry. And
Mm,
if
yeah.
you were to follow this circuit through the solar plexus and going up into the throat, I have what is it like not the 35th but the 12th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could see how this pressure to have this new feeling, right?
Mm,
And so you move into like something that will give you this feeling, and then from there you have this feeling, and then it's like it almost like pushes this desire, right, of wanting to then have a new experience. I
mm,
I could see it kind of like how the energy kind of moves. And then from there, I mean, we go into the 12th and then we're in the throat chakra. But I can,
and what's the wealth again? What's that all about?
well, I know it's the gate of standstill. Um, I can't really remember like what the gift is right now. No, I can't remember the gift. Maybe you can find it a little bit quicker than I can. Um,
Discrimination. Discrimination.
mm. So
And
there
the
you can
shadow
see
identity.
almost like the completeness of it because here we are in the root, like with this root center, this motor center, this like this literal force and pressure upward for us as humans to want to have a new evolve, but then with evolution comes like this feeling or this whatever's on the other end, right? So then it's pushing. And then with that, like this, because the 35th is about adventure, right? Adventure and experience pushes you into the experience. But I think then with the 12th, with this gift of discrimination, you sort of start to be able to recognize like discernment on
Yeah.
how it all comes together. So rather than like when you, so then when you start to feel that pressure, you can
Mm.
discern on the way in which you're gonna like move forward or go towards that. Oh, I love how he describes the example of Mozart and like how does he describe it? So he was able to tap into this, what is it called? A morphogenetic field, which is this energy field of like past and present and future of everything in a certain energy. I don't know. And so he then did this with classical music and brought it down into the material plane. So I can imagine that his level of discernment and right action made it all possible for him to create like this beautiful music.
Yeah. And didn't he say something about how his father was like really encouraged the music? He was a musician himself, perhaps,
Yeah, I
or
think he
there was
was
something
like an
about his father
famous like
encouraged.
yeah, famous teacher, but he mentioned like how he almost like tortured him to it.
Yeah, but almost like like opened him up to be that channel because it was just so encouraged, you know?
Right.
Mm.
So I guess I'm wondering now, like, do you having this defined, do you notice this within yourself?
I know this has a lot of, I mean, it's the start codon. It's like a initiation energy. I have a lot of initiation energy in my chart. And I had a reading once and she said, you know, you've got so much start energy and so much like pushing up kind of.
Yes, your
I have
root.
a lot of defined channels in my root, but my root itself is undefined. I've got the 53 is about starting new things, I think. The 54 is about like moving up in the world, ambition. And then the 41st also from the root, and I've got three other gates defined. I'm not going to go into all of them, but I've got like six defined gates in an undefined root center. And then I have the channel of initiation. So I very much identify with like starting new things, initiating new things. And I also have trouble like completing them and finishing them. You know, there's nowhere for this root energy to go. It's like it's moving towards all open centers. So, you know, there's there's been a lot of frustration perhaps that I haven't been able to complete things or like fulfill my dreams. And I definitely identify with like the dreamer
Mm.
archetype. But I think that this is actually, it's interesting that it's coming up now because I've worked through so much of, you know, the self doubt that comes with like having these dreams, but not believing in myself fully to bring them into form. And now I'm kind of at a place where, and he actually mentions this. Let me see if I
Yeah,
can find.
I think I know what part you're talking about too.
I'm sorry, I knocked my computer. Yeah, let me find it because I highlighted it. Um, Okay, here we go. True leaders have to overcome a deep fear of humiliation because when the 41st gene key declares its dreams aloud and stands behind them, they risk being very easily misunderstood. Those who bring the new into the world have always faced this challenge. And
Mhm.
I just feel like that's kind of what I've been working through is this fear of being misunderstood, this fear of rejection, and it shows up in a lot of other areas in my chart. But it's like having this unwavering self belief that, you know, I can manifest my dreams, and it's like holding to that vision despite how it's perceived by other people. So that's kind of like really where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm at this crux point in my life where it's like it's go time. It's time to actually take action, and not taking action from a like from that kind of samsara, like needing to
Yeah, like
constantly be doing.
like the reactive of hyperactivity.
Yes, because I've definitely done that in the past. I'm not a passive person. I'm not passive at all. I'm like a real, I'm gonna take action, go get it. And that a lot of that's also been conditioning that I've received around, needing to like work hard and prove my worth, and be always busy and doing stuff. It's very much like I'm a quad left. Like there's a lot of masculine kind of doing energy. I'm not passive at all in that sense, but it's right now for me, it's like aligning with right action, this notion of right action, like, and that's what kind of this distinction between the genius and non-genius feels like to me. The genius manifesting is like in the present moment,
Mhm.
what is the right action that I need to take towards this dream?
Mm. It
That's what it
seems
feels like.
it seems like
Yeah.
from there it's clear, right?
Mm.
And it's a little bit more focused and centered. Whereas you can imagine that even for myself, like I don't have this one defined, but again, like in the openness is the learnings and the lessons. And for me, I definitely have experienced a pressure to evolve and
Mm.
to be better and to do better and to, ascend to this or that. And yeah,
You're also the cross of consciousness, like that's written into your incarnation cross. Like,
yeah. And so,
yeah.
but the difference between embodying the incarnation cross and the gifts that come with that, and what I can notice in myself with having an undefined root, um, is that, well, many areas really, like it all comes together. But for me, I will, like for this weekend, I've really stepped into um, rest and solitude and slowness, which is the complete opposite of kind of how I've been operating for the last month or so. And I can notice like it was like both. It was a little bit more subtle this time. It wasn't as intense because I feel like I was bringing more presence to it. But this pressure to, all right, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do now? And really, it was just a matter of recognizing like nothing more that I'm going to do in this moment is going to make me better,
Mm.
really. And so kind of just sitting and allowing myself to be because for me they refer to like the 2-4, and I was telling you I've been noticing my profile a lot more recently, and the 2-4 is like this archetype of like an easy breezy genius.
Mm.
And for me it's been really hard to recognize that my my genius really can kind of come through in me just like laying here looking out the window. It doesn't really
Mm.
require a lot of force or effort, um, or just constant like of spinning to
Mm.
get somewhere. So I'm really, for me, I notice so much more of this energy out of like the not self themes of the entire route, of
Yeah.
just burnout and pressure and, you know, this drive, constant drive, right? With sometimes
Mm.
effort to like direct it or aim it because it's not necessary at that time. So that's the sign to like, hey, stop,
Yeah.
right? Um, but for me, I can just really relate to more so of the pressure.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think for both of us having like so many defined gates in an undefined center can make it feel almost like exacerbated at times because there is that pressure. There's the consistent pressure of the gates in a center that doesn't have anywhere to go. Like I was saying, it's like the energy doesn't have anywhere to go. um and well, I just had this thought about, like, my husband, on the other hand, he has all the bottom three defined. So he's the opposite of me. He's got the defined root, spleen, and solar plexus. He's an emotional manifester. Um, but for him, like, if he doesn't have somewhere to channel that energy from the root, like that pressure, he gets really like antsy and anxious. And often on a Sunday he'll have like a rest day. He often doesn't do a lot on a Sunday, but he's recognizing that even though it's a rest day, he still needs to do something active, like move his body, do
Yeah.
something physical to like move that energy. And it just kind of made so much sense to me to see that. Whereas for me, I don't necessarily have that. Like, I love physical activity to kind of nurture other parts of me. We're going to talk about the 46th soon, which is my personality sun. And that's very physical, like about the body. But yeah, like the pressure from me just feels like almost like an expectation pressure. Do
Mm.
you sense that as well?
Yes, like a self-imposed one, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like,
was
no one's putting these pressures on me, but it's always, yeah.
I was gonna say, just side note, I was like, if anybody listening is a generator and has, their defined sacral and root and whatever, I recently have met a generator who has all four motor centers defined. And she
Mm,
was telling me about like her work habits and how much she can do in a day. And I was like, hold on, I need to go look at your chart again. Because
yeah.
she's telling me that she can like, you know, wake up, get going, do her thing, then have a whole 8-hour work day, then go home and work some more. And then after that, work some more. And I'm like, to me, I would like almost fell out of my chair. That is,
Yeah.
not, yeah, that's burnout for me. Absolutely. No way. And I looked at her chart and she has all four of those motor centers defined. So it just goes to show you that like everybody's energetic body is just made up so unique and personal to them. And for some, the way in which they will operate will help them thrive. And
Mm,
for others, it could really like deteriorate them, right? Like if
yeah.
I were constantly trying to funnel this like root pressure of like, everything that comes with it and was acting out of a not self, which I have been in and out of throughout my life. And it's always a teacher and a reminder like I think I would already be on the floor. He even talks about how like in the shadow it's well the whole energy, but the
Mm,
shadow it's related to appetite, eating and not
yeah.
having this hunger and depression and you know
Mm,
and this the body just sort of almost decompensating and not having the energy to propel it forward. So yeah.
yeah. It resonated with me similar to the 40th, that shadow of exhaustion
Yeah.
that we talked about in our last episode. Yeah, like what was kind of coming to me as you were speaking is like we're all built so differently, and yet we all have access to this kind of genius, which is like, because so someone can do a whole lot in a day, if they've got all this energy defined in certain areas and centers, and for them it could feel effortless, right?
Yeah.
They're just aligning with their natural energy, right? And then for us, we could do, and it's kind of like what you were saying before, like letting it be easy, like recognizing that you have this easy breezy genius that flows through you in your own version of
Hmm.
effortlessness. And then same for me, like I'm really recognizing the bursts of inspiration and my own personal like manifestor energy of the urges coming through. And I just kind of got to jump on in when that urge comes. And I'm like, all right, universe, I'm hearing it, I'm getting it, I'm downloading whatever, I'm writing it down, I'm taking action, whatever. And then just recognizing that that will like exhaust itself
Mm-hmm.
sooner or later. And then it's stepping right back and trusting, like, okay, that is how my energy is working, you know?
You know, it's interesting because I was thinking a little bit about like our frequency that we've had even with like the podcast. And if,
Mm,
you know, I don't even really think it's been a while, maybe not since like the beginning. We've talked about the whole concepts of how we came to this title of Led by Life. And
mm,
um I was thinking today how when we first started and, probably up and I can't even think maybe up until like late 20s, gene key wise, like right up until like those, I feel like we were very rhythmic and very on it. And the energy was like pushing and pushing, right? Like not pushing, efforting, but like it was consistent.
yeah.
And
Momentum.
yeah, there was
Yeah.
a lot of momentum. And not that there's not momentum now, but it's totally different. Like
Yeah.
this process, and you mentioned, and I've been thinking about this a lot, is like we're essentially in this like book club, right?
Yeah.
Live recorded book club of the journey of the gene keys. And it's sort of no surprise to me that it's slowing down. And I don't know why. I know that there's the one gene key might have been like the 22nd where there he went into the seven different like energetic bodies, and I think the whole chapter was like 15 pages long, but I feel like that it's after that one where everything sort of kind of took a shift and it had to slow down, and now we're
Mm,
like sitting with it all. And it just kind of goes to show you that like really life has its own timing and its
mm,
own rhythm and workings, and will take you to the next experience or feeling you're meant to feel. And we don't have to like exert ourselves so much to
mm,
that happen.
mm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's that you and I are aligning more with our natural rhythm, as we kind of go through this process, as being perhaps a bit more honesty with where we're actually at. You know, maybe in the beginning there was like, okay, well, or even just like that conditioning around a podcast needs to be a regular upload, needs to go once a week or once a fortnight or whatever. Like
Yeah.
this idea of frequency being consistency. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I heard someone say that, and it was, they were talking about like content creation, and it's the same sort of thing with a podcast, but they were saying that consistency isn't frequency. It's not how often you upload, it's how you show up to your creative process over time,
Mm,
right? It's staying consistent with the creative process. And I guess this can kind of relate to, you know, bringing your dreams to life. It's not about like uploading regularly and keeping up with this like wheel of expectation and pressure, and I've got to go, because so much of that work is like ineffective. Whereas it's like, okay, if we can tune more into like our own natural rhythms, our own natural pace, and then just hold to that vision, like anticipate that it's going to, if we're using the example of the podcast, like we're anticipating, we know we're going to finish it, we don't know when we're going to finish it, but we know it's going to happen. And so then like the consistency is more so about like showing up to our this journey, consistently showing up. And some weeks it's, sometimes we need like a whole month to sit with a gene key, and sometimes we only need a week, and sometimes they resonate more, sometimes they don't. And I would say that you and I are both like giving ourselves more permission to align with our own natural rhythms and energy, and like what it is that is wanting to flow through.
mm.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, and also that we're not really in control of it at all. Because
Mm,
it's not like it's very so much planned. It feels that this body of work literally is guided by life itself. Hannah and
mm,
I, we don't like stop our lives or reorchestrate our lives or like, try to plug it in where it doesn't make sense or it can't. Like we're just
mm,
like you're very right. And it's just so much more of an honoring of what is here, what is present, what is now. And I couldn't be any more grateful to like
mm.
just be able to have that exchange with you for the world to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, me too. It's like it's book club, but it's also like study club and like
Yes.
growth club and like accountability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I don't know. I would definitely recommend the Gene Keys for anybody, just to read it, just to contemplate it,
Mm,
and I I have no words. It's like
mm,
I don't even know how to say the word emanation.
mm,
That's sort of what I feel like this process is. It's like
mm.
everything and nothing all at the same time. And there's not really a way to articulate it or speak it. Um, and that's it.
And perhaps that's why it's resonating so much with like this new earth that where so many of us are like feeling called to create and to be a part of and contribute to is because it's there's just so much truth in these transmissions, you know, like he downloaded all of this and it relates to all of us. All of it relates to all of us, and we can all identify and like see ourselves in
Hmm.
and patterns and the shadows and the higher expressions in ourselves.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
what I mentioned, like what is in one is in the whole. So, and
Mm-hmm.
what is in the whole is in each and every one of us. So, um, ah, what a beautiful conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Cats just come up to join me.
I love knowledge.
Chasing sunshine.
Mm. Well, everyone, thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.